Hey there, trail trekkers and tall tale seekers. You're tuned in to the 406 Life, the podcast where Montana Max, your Bigfoot buddy and outlaw gear mascot, yeah, that's me, leads you through the wild, weird, and wonderful corners of Montana. Each week we share stories, legends, and laughs from the last best place. So grab your boots and sense of adventure, because we're about to make some Montana-sized memories. This episode's powered by Outlaw Gear, where rebels get their style. Want to look legendary? Mosey over to I'mAnOutlaw.com and claim your outlaw status. Hey there, Montana Max here. Welcome back to the 406 Life podcast. Today we're going deep. Real deep, like millions of years deep. Now before we get into it, I gotta ask. If you're listening to this and you haven't left us a review, go do that right now. Takes 30 seconds. Tells other folks this show is worth their time. Means more than you probably think. And if you've got a friend who likes Montana, weird history, or just stories that make you think different about the land you're standing on, share this one. We appreciate it. All right, let's get to it. Folks come here thinking they know Montana's story. Trappers, gold rushes, cowboys. And sure, that's all real, but nobody's talking about what came before. What came way before. But Montana's got a history most people never think about. Older than the trappers. Older than the horses. Older than the land itself, almost. It starts with something else entirely. It starts with an ocean. I know. Sounds crazy. But 65 million years ago, there was literally a massive body of salt water covering most of central North America, the Western Interior Seaway. If you stood where you're listening to this right now, you'd be underwater. Deep underwater. Probably shouldn't have come up for air, to be honest with you. But then something big happened. And I mean big. Tectonic plates started shifting. The Farallon Plate pushed under North America and literally lifted the Rocky Mountains up out of the ground. As those mountains climbed, they pushed the ocean out like the land was saying, "No, I'm done with this salt water. I want to be something else." Rivers started flowing down from those young mountains, carrying massive amounts of mud, sand, volcanic ash across these wide floodplains, layer after layer, stacking up for millions of years. Eventually, it all hardened into rock formations. Hell Creek, Two Medicine, Cloverly. Those names don't sound like much until you realize those formations are basically Montana's fossil library. Thousands of years of dead things buried quick turned to stone. That's not an accident. That's geology setting you up to learn something. Now fast forward to 1902. A fossil hunter named Barnum Brown is digging near Jordan in the Hell Creek Formation, and he unearths something that changes how the entire world understands Montana. A Tyrannosaurus rex, first one ever found in North America. 40 foot long, 13 feet tall at the hip, weighed over 17,000 pounds. I've spent enough time in these mountains to imagine what that looked like. But I gotta say, seeing it in my head and holding those numbers in your brain are two different things. 13 feet tall. That's a tall human standing on another tall human's shoulders. And then you stack a few more humans on top of that. That's how high the hip was. Think about that the next time you're walking through a field in Montana. But here's where it gets even better. Almost a century later, in 1997, another discovery near Fort Peck Lake unearths a skeleton so complete it answers questions scientists had been asking for decades. They call it Peck's Rex, and when they start cleaning it off, studying it, they realize something nobody had ever seen before. It's got a third hand bone intact, a tiny third finger, inside the forelimb, hidden. Proof that T-Rex, this massive, terrifying predator, kept a little finger curled up in there the whole time. I'm going to be honest with you. That changes how I think about that animal. And I've had a long time to think about animals. Real talk, we all have a million things to do. That's why the UPS store 4489 exists. Printing, shipping, mailbox services, notary work, it's all there. Stop wasting time. Go see them at 2047 North Last Chance Gulch, Helena, Montana. Your one-stop shop for small business solutions. But dinosaurs aren't even the best part of this story. And I say that knowing we just talked about a creature that could eat a car. At a place called Egg Mountain near Shoto in the 1970s, a paleontologist named Jack Horner and his team dig up something that flips the entire script on how we understand dinosaur behavior. They find nests, actual nests, packed with eggs, with baby dinosaur skeletons, with adult skeletons too, all of them belonging to a duck-billed herbivore called Myosaura oritis. Good mother lizard. That's what the name means. Before this discovery, the scientific community believed dinosaurs laid eggs and walked away. Boom. Done. See you later, kids. Figure it out yourself. Like modern sea turtles. But the baby Myosaura at Egg Mountain had worn teeth. Worn down from eating, which means only one thing. Parents were bringing food to the nest, feeding their young. These dinosaurs were nesting in colonies, raising families, showing complex social behavior. I've watched a lot of things in this world. I've seen animals do some surprising stuff. But this discovery told me something I didn't expect. It told me that creatures we think of as primitive, as cold and uncaring, were actually capable of love, of caring for their young, of building community. That's something. All right, let's jump forward again. Way forward. Skip past the dinosaurs entirely. Tens of millions of years go by. Climate shifts. Ice Age glaciers spread across Canada and into northern and central Montana. Those warm floodplains turn into cold steppe grasslands. Different world, different animals. You get woolly mammoths, 6-ton Ice Age elephants, western camels, 7-foot-tall animals roaming where prairies now stretch, prehistoric horses, giant ground sloths, animals you wouldn't expect to see in Montana if you didn't know the history. And I'll tell you what, I've watched a lot of Montana seasons come and go. I know what this place can do. But imagining 13,000-year-old grasslands filled with mammoths and camels and horses, that shifts your perspective. Now here's the really interesting part, the part that connects all of this. Humans hunted these animals, and I know that sounds obvious, but think about what that means. Early Montanans weren't just surviving out here. They were strategically hunting animals the size of small houses, processing meat on a large scale, developing hunting strategies, building culture around it. The evidence is literally buried across Montana. Near Glendive, archaeologists found a woolly mammoth skeleton with cut marks made by stone blades. Early hunter-gatherers had systematically butchered this animal, cutting meat and marrow, knowing what they were doing. Along the Rocky Mountain front, deep inside a cave, researchers found a 12,000-year-old muskox skull. Sitting right next to it were stone projectile points made by the Clovis culture. Ancient hunters killed the muskox, butchered it, carried its head into the cave, and I can only imagine the stories that came with that. The hunt, the danger, the food for the tribe. At the St. Mary River site, along the ice-free corridor near the Canadian border, archaeologists uncovered the butchered remains of western camels and prehistoric horses, dated to roughly 13,300 years ago. Sharpened stone tools found directly with the bones. That's not theory, that's evidence. Physical proof that humans looked at Ice Age giants and thought, okay, we can hunt this. How long have you been mentally moved out? That moment you stop seeing your house as home. It's a sign. Most people ignore it for years, watching equity sit there doing nothing. Most wanted real estate helps you turn that feeling into action. You're already gone. Let them actually sell it. Mostwantedrealestate.net, how the West is sold. So what happened to all these animals? By roughly 12,000 years ago, North America experienced a mass extinction. 36 genera of large mammals gone. Poof. Montana lost its woolly mammoths, western camels, prehistoric horses, giant ground sloths. All of them. And here's the thing. Scientists agree it wasn't one cause, it was everything hitting at once. Rapid climate warming at the end of the Ice Age shrank the grasslands these herbivores depended on. The food disappeared. At the same time, human hunting pressure added stress to animal populations that reproduced slowly. You're taking out adults faster than they can breed. The math doesn't work. Together, habitat loss and human hunting drove North America's Ice Age giants to extinction. I've watched enough change in this state to know that's how it works. One thing shifts, then everything cascades. It's not about blame. It's about understanding that nothing in nature exists in isolation. So why does all this matter? Montana holds one of the most complete paleontological records in the world. 900 dinosaur discoveries. That's not a number I throw around lightly. That's world class. That's the kind of thing that shapes how scientists understand life on Earth. And it's not luck. It's geology. When that ancient sea receded, when rivers started depositing layers and layers of sediment, conditions became perfect for fossilization. Organisms died near ancient river channels and floodplain lakes, got buried quick, protected from decay and scavengers and weather. Over millions of years, minerals in the groundwater replaced the bone material, locked prehistoric skeletons into solid stone. And today, that stone tells stories. Museums across Montana hold specimens that shaped how we understand evolution, dinosaur behavior, human history. Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman, Phillips County Museum near Malta, Upper Musselshell Museum in Harlowtown. These aren't just tourist stops, they're windows into deep time. I've spent enough time around these places to know they matter. They're proof that this land has a voice. You just gotta listen. Now here's what really gets me about this whole story. Montana's deep history shaped how this state feels, how it moves, what it can teach you. This place has survived radical transformation, ancient seas, mountain building, climate shifts, megafaunal extinction. It's absorbed millions of years of change and still stands, still feels solid beneath your feet. That kind of history settles into a place, becomes part of the ground. And if you spend enough time in these mountains, really spend time not just passing through, you start to feel it. That weight, that depth, that sense that you're standing on something that's been through everything and came out the other side. Montana didn't just appear, it was built, layer by layer, across millions of years, and those layers are still here, waiting for someone patient enough to read them. All right, before you go, I gotta ask again. If this episode landed for you, leave us a review. Tell your friends about it, share it around. That's how we grow this thing. That matters more than you probably think. And if you want the full deep dive on Montana's paleontology, all the details, all the sources, head over to the406life.com. We've got the complete article waiting for you. Montana's Fossil Secrets. Read through the whole thing. There's more there than I could fit into this episode. Thanks for listening. This is Montana Max, the 406 Life podcast. We'll be back next Tuesday with something else worth your time. And hey, we've got merch now. If you're living the 406 life, if you're proud of this place, if you want to show it, head to the406life.com. It's all there. See you next week. There's always more to discover. Got a Montana story, business, or unsolved mystery you want on the show? Head to the 406life.com and drop me a line. No smoke signals required. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a stomp, stumble, or tall tale. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, heck, tell that guy who swears he saw me near Whitefish. I was just buying donuts, all right? Until next time, keep it outrageous, keep it kind, and keep living the 406 life. Montana Max, over and out.
That's the 406 life.